Hi, welcome. We are so excited. We are here today. Welcome to a new series. This is Peters Township Community Television. It's called Hometown Conversations. This is Sharon St. Clair of Howard Hanna, and I'm Jen DeLucia from Spill With Me, Jenny D podcast. We had our first few weeks, I think it was like 2 weeks ago, we had our first show. It was so nice, and we had Peters Township Fire Chief talking about fires during the holidays. As your hosts, we want to educate, enlighten, empower the viewers by featuring guests who are making an impact in our communities. Plus, we dive into seasonal topics to keep you informed and inspired every step of the way. So I'm going to give it to Sharon. Sharon, introduce yourself and our guest today.
Hi, my name is Sharon St. Clair, and I'm with Howard Hanna, and we are so happy today to have Rachel Mulholland. And she is a licensed psychiatric social worker from St. Clair Health. Yes. And she is here today. We want to thank you, first of all, for being here.
Yes.
But also, this is a really tender time of the year for many people. So we wanted to ask you some questions and maybe give some strategies, some insights for ourselves, loved one, and even strangers alike. We're all in this together.
Absolutely.
So we're calling this the holiday blues, how to beat the holiday blues. Again, thank you for being here.
You're welcome. Thank you, Sharon. I appreciate it.
So defining.
Okay, so if we look at defining the blues, how do you clinically define the holiday blues, and how does that differ from seasonal disorder affect?
It's a great question. So I think we all feel something at this time of year. So, there's a lot of things at play. One, we live in the Northeast, so the weather, we just went through some some snow. There's a little extra slush. It's harder to get outside. There's less sun, more gray, unfortunately, here in Pittsburgh. So, yes, we're absolutely not getting outside as much. We're usually not doing as much activity. We feel more stressed and overwhelmed just at this time of year in general. With the holidays, and they come so quickly back to back, we feel a lot of pressure. There's so much going on. We have a lot of events. We have a lot to prepare for. Everything has a deadline, and so we have a lot of stress going on. This all adds, and so everything kind of builds up, right? And so the holiday blues is a very general topic or general thing to say, but we all feel extra stress, anxiety, and pressure at this time of year. So I don't care who you are, you may be the happiest person on the planet, but we're all gonna feel it at this time of year, at least a little bit. So, yeah.
I totally agree. And I had Rachel on my podcast, and we talked about the same thing, because the more we talk about it to help others that are coping with it, to be aware of others at this time, like who is most at risk with having the holiday blues, would you say?
Everybody is at risk, honestly, but people who are less socially together, right? So that's one of the big key factors that is going to keep us healthy and happy, is having social support. And often when we are starting to feel not our best, we tend to want to isolate, right? We say, I'm not going to go to that event. I'm just going to stay home in my jammies, or I don't feel like going out today, or whatever that looks like. And we start to isolate a little more and a little more and a little more. And that's actually going to add to us feeling more low mood, more depressed, more sad, all of those things. So being around the people we love, being around the people that make us happy, anybody in your social circle is going to be so, so important, whether it's just going to the coffee shop you normally do and waving to the barista that you don't even know their name, right? But that little bit of connection goes a very long way. Or if it's, a very close friend or family member that you're sitting down and having a meal with, or whatever it may be, talking to on the phone. But that social connection goes so far.
Like keeping your routine,
Absolutely.
would you say? Okay.
Yeah, keeping our routine, because at this time of the year too, We have so many things that we're invited to. We need to get more groceries and get more gifts and get all these things because we're hosting and we're giving gifts to other people, and we have all these work events and all these other parties to attend and things like that. And so we tend to kind of discard our routine really fast. So we stop going to the gym every day like we normally would, or walking every day like we normally would, or we stay up late because we're at parties or we're, at all these events, and then our sleep schedule gets thrown off, and then we're like, why am I so tired? Oh yeah, I'm not sleeping as much as I normally would. So our routine gets thrown off very, very quickly, and we don't realize it, right? Because we have so much going on, and it's usually good, happy things, so it's not bad, but our routine is so important to us.
Definitely.
Yeah, absolutely.
So when someone's in, so part of this is to be aware of ourselves.
Absolutely.
Part of it is also to be those among us in plain sight.
Yes.
So what do we look for in plain sight that maybe someone is vulnerable or tender in this time? Maybe a stranger or someone that we don't really know we're close to. I'd like to think that if Jenny ever needed me, day or night, 24 hours,
I'll call
I'm
you.
here for her.
Okay, I'm calling you at 3 in the morning.
You call me anytime. But there are people that we have acquaintances with, and
They're going through some tough times.
or we're just out, and because everything is so frenetic at this time.
Right.
Absolutely.
So what do we see? What should we look for in plain sight?
Yeah. So Sharon, that's a great question. So when we are seeing somebody that maybe is not acting quite like themselves, maybe they are declining those invitations, maybe they're not calling or texting quite as much as they normally would, or when we are talking to them, they just seem a little off, right? I think it's worth asking the question, hey, is everything okay? Or are you, struggling right now? What's going on? How have your days been lately? Right? Have you been able to get out and do what you normally do? Maybe they're struggling with grief right now during the holiday season, which I'm sure we'll talk about some more. But maybe they're under a lot of financial stress. Maybe family relationships are kind of strained right now, because we're around family a lot, or we're, being pulled in a lot of different directions. So there's a lot of things that could be going on that can really add up quickly. And I think some people hesitate to reach out, right? Especially when we feel like it's a busy time of year. You have so much going on. I don't want to bother you with my problems. You have things too, right?
So
Isn't that what we often think? But so I think it goes a long way to just kind of stop and say, hey, I'd love to hear about what's going on with you lately. Do you have a minute? Or I haven't heard from you so much. How's your family? Or, just those simple questions and stopping and listening can go so far.
I love that approach.
Yes, that's a great point, because sometimes you think during the holidays that you're not going to talk to people because you don't want to bother them.
Right.
I feel, and I don't know if you feel this, Sharon, I feel like I put a lot on myself. Like I'm like, I'll do it. I'll do all the decorating. I'll do all the baking. I'll do all the, and I don't delegate. So I think that type of thing, if you, I put the pressure on myself. So that's one of the other questions I was thinking. We talk about the perfect holiday, keeping up with the holiday Joneses.
Yeah, the holiday we call it the holiday Joneses, keeping up with the holiday Joneses.
I don't want to keep up with them anymore.
No, it's exhausting.
It is exhausting.
It's exhausting, right?
And impossible.
Impossible. What is that standard, right? Who knows? It's in our head, and it's this mystic thing, right? That there has no real definition. It's just, the decorations have to be perfect, and the food has to be perfect, and the gifts have to be perfect, and I have to look perfect, right? And I have to be happy and joyful all the time, and it goes so far. And unfortunately, it's insidious, right? Because we get it in our head, and then that's our unrealistic expectation of ourselves. And then we start to put it on the people around us. And because, heaven forbid, they take over cooking the meal, or because if it's not going to be up to my standard in my head or perfect, right? What is
so
perfect?
Then we start getting mad at them.
We want all the control. We grasp at control because our anxiety starts to spike.
Yeah.
Right? And we get upset.
Right.
and it adds to our mental load too.
Right. You got to ask for help. Right?
Yeah, exactly. It's hard to do, but yeah.
You do.
Yeah.
So what I hear from a lot of people
Yeah.
is that family, we love them.
We love you if you're listening.
Here it comes. But
But again, those self-induced expectations.
absolutely.
Because we don't want to disappoint.
Absolutely.
And,
Yeah.
and this is a time of the year, it's a really happy time of the year for many people, for other people it's not so much.
Right.
How do you deal with challenging family situations? Any suggestions to maybe dial down that?
Yeah, so, two things that I always try and bring up, and they're extremely difficult, sound simple, but extremely difficult when put into practice, is communication and boundaries. They go
boundaries.
such a
Boundaries.
long way. I don't care what time of the year it is,
Okay.
but especially at this time of the year. And so when I say those two things, communication, often we think that, this person knows me so well. They know what I want, or they know how to make the kitchen look the way I want it to look, or they know, right, what I need, or how to do everything the way I want it to do. They're not mind readers.
That's true.
And unfortunately, I don't care how well somebody knows you, they cannot read your mind. And often we don't want to talk things through. And so we think, oh, they'll know how to do it. I don't need to give them an explanation or directions. And then when it doesn't go how we want it to, we're upset.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Because it didn't meet our expectation. And if we had just stopped and talked it through and been clear, right, they would have known what was needed and we would have known, and then we wouldn't have had to
Communication.
have that, blow up afterwards or whatever it was, right? Maybe it's the gift, right? Doesn't it come down to, oh man, I really wanted that thing, but I don't want to tell them because I just want it to be a surprise.
They should know.
They should know. They should know what I want. They know
I
me
want an
so
Apple
well.
Watch.
And then what happens? What happens on Christmas morning when we don't get that thing? We're disappointed, right? And we're hurt. And yet, how can they know if we don't tell them? Right? We think, oh, but I dropped all those hints. Did I,
Right.
though? Was it passive? Like, how good was that communication?
Right.
Really?
Hey, nowadays, a lot of, kids, they'll put
Yeah.
the link on there. So,
I know.
You don't have any choice. You got to get those. And
But,
you do feel like
yeah.
you have to get every present
It's true.
on their list.
Yeah.
Or friends or family. Like my mom's always like, don't buy me anything. But I always feel bad if I don't buy her anything.
Right.
Because then, what if she was saying that to just say that?
Yeah, and
Do
we
you know what I
feel
mean?
Yeah.
like sometimes we have to get something for everybody, right? Well, what if they don't have something to open? Wouldn't that be awkward? Or whatever it may be, we have all of these little expectations in our head, and they're always self-imposed, just like you said, Jenny.
It's true.
But the boundaries is hard, and that goes so well in family because we are around our family a lot more, usually during the holidays. And you know what? Sometimes that's really difficult because some people like to talk about topics that are not easy to talk about. So setting that boundary, you know what? We're not going to talk about religion and politics at the dinner table. Setting that up front and maintaining it. Guess what? That's going to mitigate a lot of arguments.
I love that.
I love
Right?
that.
Yes.
Ahead of time, right? Before you even sit down.
Right.
Maybe even talk about days before. You know what? Uncle Jerry, he always likes to bring it up. We're going to have that conversation way ahead of time so that we don't even have to approach it on the day of.
Offline, have the conversation with Uncle Jerry.
Exactly.
Offline.
Right, because
Jerry
that's
out there?
communication.
So that way
Yeah.
he's not embarrassed at
Exactly.
the table
Yeah.
and he's not ostracized.
Yeah.
So we can just say, you know what, we're going to do a Christmas or holiday reset this year.
Yes.
It is true, though. Sometimes you do have those topics, during the holidays. You
Yeah.
haven't seen somebody in a while.
Yes.
And hey, did you see, like, talking about the news or things that are happening?
Exactly, yeah.
Let's talk about joyful things.
Right, or whatever the topic may be. You know what? This is off the table for today, just while we're together.
Right.
Maybe another time we can talk about it, but today it's not
Boundaries.
something that we're gonna do.
like
Or
that.
maybe it's like, people want to be together all day, every day for the holidays. That's too much together time for some people, right? We need time to decompress. And that's another way you can set a boundary. Hey, you know what? I love you guys so much. we're a wonderful family, but like I need a little bit of alone time to rest and relax because it's been stressful. So,
So, to that point, maybe a little bit of planning to de-stress and say,
exactly.
How about if we do our holiday reset, we have our boundaries, but also an acknowledgement. We love each other.
Right.
So let's do a little prep and planning so we can build in some downtime. So that way, that when we're on,
Yes, exactly.
and then we can just kind of pull back, get a little bit of extra rest, come together in the best versions of ourselves.
Right, exactly.
Versus we're coming together in whatever chaotic form that looks like.
Why do they say the hectic holidays, and it shouldn't be like that. But I don't know if we put it on ourselves because, like you said, everything needs to be perfect. The decorations, the food. But going on that, what you were saying, Sharon, is sometimes, like I remember my mom had an open house on Christmas Eve. And, if you don't put a time, like, okay, it's from 6 to 10, people stay for like till 2 in the morning.
Yeah.
And how do you get people to like leave? I mean, how do you feel? Like, I don't know how
and
I
that's
would
a boundary too,
right? That's a boundary.
It's, we have to get up and do presents in the morning, or I love that you're all here celebrating with me, but my rest is a priority. This evening is going to stop at 10 p.m., right? And it's okay to say those things. Sometimes we feel like it's harsh to say things like that. Boundaries protect us, right? That's going to protect our peace. And so it does feel harsh in that moment. It feels harsh in the moment, but you know what? It goes such a long way, because if we don't set them, you're just gonna you're not gonna have any peace, right? Because a boundary is like a wall or a fence, right? If we need a physical, like, it's a barrier, right? And we need that.
My brother, I'm sorry to interrupt. My brother, this is so funny. I was just thinking about this. My brother puts his pajamas on, and that is our cue. Okay, Sean's in his pajamas. Everybody's got to go.
That's his form of communication, right?
Yeah. We all know. We laugh about it, and he doesn't care. He goes right in his room, puts his pajamas on, comes out, and everybody's like, "Okay, it's time to go."
It's time, and that's another thing. What are the cues? And maybe it's not, hey guys, it's time to go. Everybody has different cues, right? And hopefully we know the cues of the people that we're closest to, and we can honor those, because that's setting a boundary as well and honoring them.
It's so true.
Absolutely.
Well, there's also to your point, open houses, because that's the way I grew up. So we always had an open door. For friends, strangers alike.
Right,
and just inviting people in. So it was the mix that you never knew who was going to be there.
Right.
And that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
It is,
So if we see someone, maybe, and I'm thinking of not only the people that we know, but maybe the people we know less well. So if we see someone that's really not enjoying, they're kind of pulling back a little bit, and need suggestions on how we can delicately approach them to make them feel included.
Yeah, I mean, I think it goes a long way to just listen, to say, what's been going on with you? People love to talk about themselves, right?
But you have to ask.
It's true. We have to usually start that conversation. But being curious, I think, is the best thing that we can always do. Entering any conversation in a curious manner, because that takes away the judgment, right? And so maybe it's even saying like, hey, you don't seem as outgoing this evening. Is something on your mind, right? Or you're not feeling well. Like, we don't have to bring it out. Hopefully they'll bring it up. But maybe it's even just saying, hey, do you mind if I sit next to you?
And I like that in a way that's not, it's very neutral, and you basically put them in a safe zone, because I feel that people at this time, the people that are most tender are most sensitive and defensive. So when we approach them, just, can I sit next to you? How are you doing today?
But sometimes, in my own life with my family, I'm just tired. They'll just shove it off because they don't want to be a burden on you, because they think, oh my gosh, you have so much going on. So why should I talk about me when I feel like my needs and what I'm going through isn't as important as yours are? How do you cope with that? How do you do those? Like, how do you approach that?
Yeah, and that's a great question. I think a lot of times people don't know how to talk about it too. So maybe they do feel like it would be a burden if they spoke about it, but also they're not quite sure where do I start? It doesn't feel as bad as somebody else. We compare ourselves a lot, right?
Yeah.
And that's part of what goes on too. Oh, my problems are not as bad as the next person, so why would I even bring it up? Even though I'm hurting. And the thing is that no matter what your struggle is, it's a struggle. And we can't compare, there's no like worse or better struggles.
Right.
They're all struggles and they all hurt us.
Yeah.
And so even just, starting with that curiosity, or I think sometimes being vulnerable goes such a long, long way. And having that empathy. So if you start out with being vulnerable, that shows that other person that, okay, their guard is down and I can be vulnerable back. So if that person is sitting and you kind of see like they're kind of withdrawn or they seem like they're really struggling, maybe sitting down next to them and saying, hey, you know what? Do you mind if I sit next to you? Gosh, this time of year is really stressful. Did you know that yesterday I started to have a little bit of a panic attack in the grocery store because there's just been so much going on. Have you been feeling that too?
I love that.
Right?
That is so
relate to each other,
Yeah.
Because then they'll, people feel like, oh my gosh, I can open up a little bit, right? They will return that vulnerability 9 times out of 10.
Now, I don't think we talked about this too much, but Sharon and I were talking about this before we even came. When you have a loss,
Yeah.
Yes.
and especially around
Yes.
the holidays, it's so, I can only, imagine what people are going through. What would you say to someone that has a loss in their family? How would they be coping with
It
that?
might be their first holiday without that
them.
person.
Yeah, so grief is really huge at the holiday season. Whether it's a fresh loss or it's a loss that has happened a long time ago, that grief continues to surface. And so we talk about it a lot at the holidays because traditions tend to remind us of the people that we've lost. Oh, I tasted that cookie and wow, that tasted just like grandma's gingerbread and we used to make that together, and we have that moment of sadness, right?
Yeah.
Maybe we haven't thought about grandma in a long time, but that grief starts to wash over us a little bit, and we have those traditions that go on and on, or those little things, right? Because that's what happens. But fresh loss is really, really difficult because it's still those traditions. Like, how do I put up the tree without that person? How do I have a meal without that person there, right? Because not only is it routine, you set the table and their place is there, right? Or they always carved the turkey, right, at Thanksgiving, or they always, whatever it may be. Now what do? It's okay to honor our feelings, and we should, especially at this time. So to take a moment and think about it and say, I really do miss that person. This was their role in our holiday tradition or whatever is going on. Or I really loved baking the cookies with my grandma. That was such a special thing. How can I take this moment to honor that person? Right? And that kind of spins it in a more positive way. So yes, we are going to be sad. And do not discount that sadness. I think
talk about it. You think
you can talk about it with the people around you. Share, because they're thinking that too. 9 times out of 10, they're also thinking that. So say, have you guys been thinking about grandma lately? I just tasted a cookie and it reminded me so much of her gingerbread. Have you had any of it? I wonder if maybe we could make those cookies and have them out for everybody. What do you guys think about that? Or what was your favorite memory of her?
Oh, I love
Let's
that.
talk about it, right? Or let's get out some pictures and look through them together.
Don't avoid it is what
Or
you're saying. Embrace
don't
it.
avoid
Just
it.
lean in
It's
a natural
okay.
way.
Yes. Do your best. Don't avoid it. If you feel like it's overwhelming, that's okay. Take some time to yourself. Remember to use self-care, to take some deep breaths,
Yes,
step
tell us
away
the
from
skills,
people. You know, if you need to take a moment to yourself, that's fine. But honoring this grief and your feelings in general, whatever they are, because we have a lot of mixed feelings when it comes to grief and loss. And that's okay. It can be confusing. Honor them, right? Acknowledge them.
Acknowledge them.
And
I
just
love that.
be there for yourself, right? Because guess what? You're there for all those people around you. Take a moment to be there for yourself too.
Right.
Rachel, we really appreciate you taking the time, and maybe we can put up on the screen
The
for
coping
anyone
skills, yeah.
if
Yeah.
there's some coping skills, and then also if there's some additional resources that people can turn to
Absolutely.
and reach out. And Jenny and I, we talked about this before we came today. We're so grateful that you've shared your time with us, and we just want you to know that if you ever have that moment, both of us are here. We're just normal people just like you are. So you reach out to us anytime. We just, we care about, we
That's
may
why we
not know
started
you.
this, yeah.
We started this because we may not know you, but we do care about you.
Yes.
So happy holidays,
Yes,
everybody.
thank you so much for being here, and stay tuned. We are going to be doing some holiday baking. We call it holiday decorating for dummies. Thank you, Rachel, for being here today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.